And I think we have a pretty tight group today too, so that looks very appropriate. Hi, John Scrobat, nice to see you, or see your name. And let's get going. I think number one is pretty clear cut. We had talked in the last couple of weeks about a town hall in early December. And just because of capacity for both the consortium members who were leading that effort and staff, that does not look feasible at this time. We are doing some targeted stakeholder meetings in place. Matt Dunn and I have probably about a half dozen targeted meetings scheduled, in particular with groups like IMAC and the Coalition of 100 Black Women and various, it's a balanced, I would say it's a pretty balanced variety of stakeholder groups. If you guys need a list, I'm happy to share that. But we have a number of those up until about that time. So it's unfortunate that we can't do the whole thing, but I think our rationale there was that we don't do that kind of engagement and outreach just to say we did it, and host a thing where we don't have adequate time and capacity to make sure that the public is informed that it is happening and the public has access to the full information that they would need to participate effectively. So in that sense, I think it is indeed for the best, and we'll look at the best ways to engage with the public moving forward using that type of a format, but probably it seems like, following more closely to the individual work groups having engagement efforts, which we know are already planned as well. So doing the broad town hall of everything is not going to happen. Anybody have any thoughts or concerns around that in terms of what else you'd like to see or anything? Okay, leave a beat there for that and move on. Okay, so we know that we have our consortium meeting on the 10th. It'll be the opportunity to review the final versions of the recommendations that we began to receive presentations on in October. And they really have evolved, which I think is interesting. I wasn't sure how much change we would see between October and December based on feedback, but we definitely have had some adjustments within committees, which I'm sure we could hear about if you would like to share that. And in these stakeholder meetings that we are having, we are actually getting additional feedback that will be shared with work groups as well. And so the big item under that, since I think we have a pretty clear sense, we settled on an agenda that's pretty straightforward, is just making sure that we're clear about motions for each work group. And I think, Haley, do you want to speak to that? I mean, I would assume we would be asking our work group chairs to help us determine those, correct? So that they're pre-written and that we're not, garbling something on the spot.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess I thought we could talk through what each motion looked like, or maybe the chair should come with a written motion that we can respond to.
Okay. Now, would that be, let's see, I'm trying to think, I'm looking at the calendar. So this is.
Well, yeah, I guess
I'm going to
actually.
Yeah, we have to do it. So do we want to target that as like the agenda for our December 4th planning meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you already have things. Do you already have drafts that you wanted to talk about? I think it would be better to have the work group chairs present them. And if we tell them, hey, we're expecting one of your co-chairs to be here on December 4th to tell us what motions you expect to be presenting. I think that gives people a couple of weeks to be thinking about it, and a clear time for us to come together and review it.
Who's going to reach out to them? Do you want to, Tizzy, or you want us to each reach out to them?
Would you, well, let's see, would you mind drafting some language and then I'll just send it out to the 6 co-chairs?
That's fine. Just so you know, Tizzy, I won't be at that December 4th meeting, but Abby's going to sit in for me.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Yes, you're sounding scratchy today.
Sleepy. Long. jamming a week and a half work plus of work into a week is not doing
I
it.
know. So wait, you guys furloughed, today's your last day before a week of furlough, right?
Yep.
Which
3 days
I
of
guess kinda
furlough
work.
and 2 days of vacation.
Right. Okay, it's Thanksgiving week, so it kind of works out, but
Mhm.
what a hassle this is. I'm sorry. I will try to remember not to try. Well, you won't be able to respond to me, so I can send you whatever emails I want. Okay, good.
Be
Look forward to
nice.
that. But yeah, if there's time today to just, I mean, just a couple sentences.
Yep.
And then that way they can follow up with any questions. All right, that'd be cool. All right, I think that's those 2 items wrapped up. Work group updates. We've got 2 past meetings and 1 upcoming meeting. So who would, I guess we will be doing it with staff liaisons today. Obviously, we're not the only ones overwhelmed.
So I can do a quick one because our meeting was quick. I think that was the most efficient, effective, quickest meeting we've ever had.
Yeah.
We had a follow-up on Tuesday from our last Thursday meeting, which actually it ended up being good. We came up with a clear definition for critical need educators. Oh my gosh, I get it backwards every time. I will have it right by the time we meet. By race.
It'll be written down, don't
ethnicity.
worry.
We have it all written down. I just didn't bring it with me. And then we have a smaller group reaching out to help kind of come up with some of those funding ideas for the Grow Our Own piece. I have received some information for the whole school PL piece on costs, which, I mean, we can go from there.
Yes, we go from there. It's
We
important
aim
to
high.
to name it, to cost it out, and go from there. Great.
So hopefully Mike and Noel and Jen will be working on that some next week. And the following week, we'll be back helping them and go from there.
Great. Okay. Thank
We are
you.
trying.
That is moving ahead. Funding and governance. I know you guys met last night.
Yep. We met last night and we talked through NAMD's new draft of House Bill 129. And it was really good. We had like a lot of substantive conversation about like the content of the bill. And I thought we got some very helpful feedback from a lot of people. So we just need to, write that all down, figure out what all the feedback means, and share it with Namdi because he was unfortunately not able to be at that meeting. So we have to communicate that, and then figure out what changes, do we make changes to the bill, what makes sense. But it was very helpful. I thought it was really good.
Good. Great. I wish I could have been there. I had caucus, but so was that meeting recorded? Will that be on the YouTube?
Yep.
Foreshadowing. Okay, great. Okay, good. Okay, I look forward to watching that. Okay. And again, I think small update, obviously, for social determinants. Jason, do you have anything you want, or Dawn even? I know you're here. And Tika, I think I see too. So
Yeah, Tika could speak to funding too. Sorry, I didn't see she was on. If she wanted to say anything.
Oh, great.
But
well, everyone's welcome.
We're for the early childhood work group. We are on track. We have talked about our priorities. So we're looking at developmental screening, ensuring that developmental screening is happening once a year in childcare centers. We're also looking at ways to ensure that the Medicaid requirements regarding developmental screening is happening with pediatricians. So that's developmental screening to ensure that all children have access who may be eligible for early intervention services. Another item is including preschool in the K-3 special education basic in the unit count funding, and Representative Williams is planning to add preschool to that ask. So that's very exciting. And then we're looking at increasing access to early learning programming in the city of Wilmington and the surrounding areas of need, and possibly a small home visiting ask. We're hoping to still keep that in.
Okay. So is it looking like the bulk of the social determinants ask will be coming from the early childhood group?
No. But we are aligning. we're working on aligning it. So that's the early childhood piece. So more to
Mhm.
come. I don't think anyone else is here from our,
No. Jason, did you want to speak to that at all?
So the other two work groups are developing their own proposals. So the expectation is that when we get there on the 10th, we'll have 3 distinct sets of proposals coming from the social determinants work group. I will say I think Dawn's group is probably the farthest along, and it's probably going to be the most comprehensive set of
Mhm.
recommendations. They've really been you know producing and performing. So kudos to Dawn.
thank
Um,
you. I'm
the other
grateful for the opportunity to do it. Thank you.
the other two groups are work are plugging along, so that there's a small group focused on wraparound services and school and community partnerships, and another group focused on racial and social justice in the schools. And so I haven't seen their work in the last couple of days, but we expect that they'll have something presented at our 11:30 November 30th meeting. And we'll have something substantive for the 10th.
I do have a
Great.
question, Jason, because I've been working on crunching lots of numbers. And so would you like to have almost like 2 documents sent to you? So one that's the one pager, that's the quick and easy, and then another one that has more of the details and the research or the references to the data and information?
That would be my personal preference. Maybe that Matt has other ideas, but I think that that's going to be along the lines of what he's going to be looking for as well. So,
Okay, great.
yeah, I would say that would be great.
Excellent. Great. So I know we're going to have a lot of discrete pieces, and Matt and I are working to sort of mesh everything together into a cohesive proposal that we are going to be putting out there, so folks understand how it all works together and why. So that's our challenge, and of course, we're also going to be working with the IPA team to I guess help us kind of spin that narrative, because we want to be able to tell that story. Of course, to the governor, who we're making, hoping will incorporate a lot of this into his budget, as well as just, my fellow legislators. So, all right, good. It's getting exciting. We're getting there. Okay, so group that responds to the settlement. Yes, updates. I actually think this is another item that would be great for us to solidify at our December 4th planning meeting. And I can ask, again, we'll just sort of have all of our chairs present. Aaron Bass has accepted the invitation to lead, and we are looking for a complimentary co-chair for him. The suggestion was made that be Jarrell Green because of some of his other positions, including with the opportunity funding oversight. And I believe we are about at a yes there. Chuck Longfellow has also expressed an interest in serving on that. And I asked Aaron if he would, just yesterday we were talking about it, if he would sort of draft a composition of what he thinks that settlement committee could look like, a small committee. I think we talked about six people, ideally, that was balanced. We want to make sure we sort of have some balanced perspective in that group. But really it's meant to monitor and ensure that as a consortium, we are appropriately responding and recommending things in accordance with that settlement. And there's definitely, a huge appetite in the legislature to know how we are approaching this, but also for things to be done with or without us. A lot of conversations about the funding formula, for example. So I know one of the early responsibilities for this group would be really that timeline stuff. What do we think an appropriate timeline for a response to some of these demands might look like for the settlement group, and how do they interact with other existing groups in our body? So that's what I have. Any questions about that? And Aaron is raring to go. I told him, look, sorry, the 2 weeks after the election have been so busy. And he's like, well, when do we start? And I said, well, I think you could probably look at the effective date. We don't have to pass a motion or anything to establish this committee, obviously, because it's that's not how structurally we function. But I think we can sort of be in a position to announce some of these details at our December 10th meeting, and I told him so. Essentially, January, get to work.
That was actually going to be my question. Should we have either you and Matt or Aaron speak briefly at the December 10th meeting about this, just like letting people know we have a plan? Or is it too, we don't need to rush it either? I mean,
it might fit within where Matt and I are speaking about the goals and the sort of next steps, I guess, right? That's in the agenda. It's sometimes hard. It's distracting to have the whole agenda there, but then sometimes it is helpful. Okay, Tika, I see your thoughts there, and we can definitely take that into consideration. I think Matt and I have a portion of the agenda where we're kind of hitting the big stuff. Here's what's coming. I think it would be appropriate for that to fit in there.
mm-hmm. And then one other question, should I invite Aaron to the December 4th meeting? I don't want to rush him, but is that okay?
He will not, trust me, he would love to be rushed on this. He's excited. So it would give him a goal, and I think it would give him, a goal line for
Okay.
Just thinking about the composition and co-chair and stuff like that, and that we can approve.
Okay.
Cool. Any questions on that? Okay, good shape. All right, Haley, you want to talk about our public engagement accomplishment of the week?
Yay. So our YouTube page is up. Woohoo. So we have all the consortium meetings, work group meetings, and planning meetings are on our YouTube page from May until last week. So our last planning team meeting. And then I'll get the ones from this week posted soon. So that's exciting.
Very exciting.
I did a Facebook post about it, so people on Facebook should know.
Oh, good. I didn't even see that. I'll try to share that. It looks great. I know it took a lot of work, and each committee or sort of like stream of meetings has its own playlist, which I think is so helpful. Great job.
Thank you.
Cool. Yay, Dinah. Yay, it's a big yay. So definitely share that with folks. I was just mentioning it, honestly, to my caucus mates yesterday. People had some questions about things like in the funding space, and I said, I can send you some videos to watch and to catch up. So that's really cool. Oh yeah, can we drop the link in the chat really quick just so folks can find the general thing? Any other questions or concerns, folks? I know we're chugging along to the finish line. Kelly, you look like you have a thought.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking this is the exciting part, and looking forward to working with you and Matt and everybody to pull it together into that cohesive piece. And
yeah, it is exciting.
then-
Oh, and Matt did present to the state board last night. Ultimately, they got to him before I was out of my caucus, so he did it on his own, and it sounds like it was just fine. Were you there?
He did a very nice job.
Great.
I saw him present. I was listening to funding and that.
Yeah.
Very nice job. There were some good questions that they brought up.
Oh, great. Maybe could you circulate would it be possible? Do you remember? Anyway, Matt passed along a couple of them. Well,
yes.
Is it recorded? Is there a recording I can go back and watch?
It's recorded.
Okay. So maybe I could
recorded.
get the recording.
A lot of it was just how it all relates. I think the biggest question that I heard was, yes, we are focused on the city of Wilmington,
Geography question.
but how does it also impact Southern Delaware? And
yes, and it does. That question keeps coming up, and it's just, that's something for us to be thinking about. I think it's important. I understand why we ended up with our geographical scope, but with some of the things that we're trying to tackle, which very, very importantly and logically we're tackling, do have statewide impacts.
Yep.
And that does create some complications. So I think it'll be interesting to see, I guess sort of how the legislature might respond to the fact that there is that kind of void in terms of something dedicated to Kent and Sussex.
There is a recently started social justice organization in Sussex County. And I don't know, I have the flyer in my work bag, but it's certainly something I could share with all of you. I recently discovered the work that's being done. I think it's a nonprofit, but I picked up the
Yeah.
flyer so we could see how we
Yeah, send me a
can.
pic. Send me a picture for
Sure
sure.
will.
But so that's on my mind, you know, just in terms of, do we just liaise just with, you know, in a very direct way, or will there be
Mhm.
another body, or are we looking, you know, things like
Right.
that. Tika,
Well, I will
think
say that one of our recommendations is based off of something from Southern Delaware, so. that's
True, that's true. But
true,
I
so-
can definitely
But yeah,
understand.
I totally get it.
That dynamic is difficult anyway, and I certainly understand, you know, the hesitation from anyone in Kent and Sussex County, or even
Mhm.
Southern Newcastle County, and seeing recommendations from our group sort of mandating things for the state. So we just have to be thinking about that and how we navigate that. Okay.
And then I'm just thinking ahead just for like how we want to share the recommendations and everything to the whole consortium. You know, the goal is to have everything written out a week prior, or at least by that Monday prior. But when we're sharing, do we need all of the background information? Or I think each group might be a little different, because I know like the educator group has presented all that.
Yeah. That's
Not sure.
I'm not sure. I mean, I think I think there's something to be said for keeping it simple in terms of like what we're looking at, but then I think people need to have at their fingertips as much information, you know, the full information. So whether that's, you know, posted on the website or distributed to the consortium members, it should all be there. But in terms of the PowerPoint, I think it needs to hit the main things and not all of the scaffolding, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, I know last time some of that threw everybody off. So,
Yes, yes, because it's a lot of data and information to look at. So I think really we need to the point needs to be the point, and that needs to be what we focus on. And then folks just need to be able to have access to, you know, that further information that talks about how we got there.
Okay, perfect. That's what I was thinking, but just wanted to make sure we were all on.
Sounds good to me, unless anyone has any objection to that. I think we want it out there, but we don't need to walk through every line. Okay, did we have anyone from the public who wanted to speak? See Kathy Denhart and Amy. Now's your chance. You can just sort of raise your hand, start talking, put something in the chat. Otherwise,
I guess
Oh.
I had a question. Sorry.
Yes.
I think
Go
I
ahead.
heard about on the town hall being canceled, and I didn't know what the workaround was.
Yes. So we talked about that in the beginning a little bit. So basically, because we didn't have the capacity to fully develop all the material and even marketing to make sure we have people there and fully informed, the workaround has been stakeholder meetings that Matt and I are having with a variety of groups that represent different impacted communities and stakeholders. So we have at the moment about 6 on the calendar. To make sure that we're having, prior to the 10th, the opportunity to have folks weigh in on our recommendations. So it's not as robust as the dream town hall, but I don't think, given the capacity and timing that we were looking at, we were going to get to the robust town hall. That does not mean we're not going to have one as we move forward.
Yeah. Are those stakeholder meetings going to be documented and shared, or?
They are not public meetings. No, they are not public meetings.
Alrighty.
So there is that. I mean, so it's not the same for sure. Any other questions or comments? Okay, everybody. Well, happy Thanksgiving. And, you know, if there's further questions, concerns, please email me or the team. And, you know, most of the team is going on furlough, so they might not respond until after Thanksgiving. But I will try to respond as I can up until Thanksgiving. And we're just going to keep chugging along and spreading the information, getting folks to look at that YouTube. They can get a lot of the information that I think we would have presented at the town hall. So maybe we can generate some more overarching feedback that way. Great. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful holiday. And yes, stay
Thanks.
safe.
Thank you. You too.
Thank
Happy
you.
Thanksgiving,
Happy holidays.
everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving. Bye.